And now to history and archaeology, because the lodgings where King Richard III stayed before the Battle of Bosworth have been recreated by archaeologists in Leicester. It follows the discovery of a notebook containing measurements and diagrams of the timber-framed building. The drawings were made shortly before the inn was demolished in 1836, but were lost or overlooked certainly for over 170 years. Well, let's get more on it. Richard Buckley is Director of Archaeological Services at the University of Leicester. It's all very exciting. Well, tell me about the recreation and a bit of the history there of this document.
Well, it's very exciting, actually. I mean, a lot of medieval Leicester was demolished in the 19th century because Leicester's been a very successful town economically, and it didn't retain many of its ancient buildings. And the Blue Boar Inn is one that we've known as University of Leicester archaeologists have researched the city very thoroughly over the past sort of 20 or so years. And we know of the inn from engravings, like this one done by the artist John Flower. And the great significance of the building is that it was actually by repute where Richard III stayed the night on his way down to Bosworth to meet Henry Tudor. But all we had was the engraving, and these notebooks turned up in a private collection, and they were done by Henry Goddard, an architect in the 19th century. And unusually, he actually did extremely detailed drawings of all of the timber frame of the building, annotated with measurements showing the peg holes, the mouldings and everything, such that it could then be reconstructed using modern techniques, using computer-aided design packages.
Wow, where are you going to put it? Sorry to interrupt, but I'm so excited. I want to know, where are you going to put it, and is it going to be open to visitors?
Yes, but it is only a model, so it's a CAD model that can be rotated and have a fly-through. But then we've also created this physical model using a three-dimensional printer. So the CAD model is fed into a rapid prototyping machine here at the University of Leicester, and then it prints this model, picking up all of the detail, the jointing, and also the chamber where Richard III, by repute, is said to have spent the night as well. So that will go on display in Leicester City Museum Service in due course when they open any new exhibitions on medieval Leicester.
OK, and what about the documents, the drawings themselves? Do you know where they've been in that intervening 170 years? How were they lost?
Well, yes, they're in a collection of the Goddard family, so the descendants of the architect H. Goddard, and there are many documents. And I was actually looking through for something else, some illustrations of Leicester Castle, but then going through these small notebooks. I mean, that's about exactly the right size for the notebook. These are scans of the pages, and there were lots of buildings recorded in detail in these books. But it was then by my knowledge, I suppose, of medieval Leicester that I actually could recognise this as being the Blue Boar Inn. So there may be many other surprises in these small notebooks.
And are there just any scraps of medieval Leicester still around, knowing it so intimately, or have the planners and the Luftwaffe done for that?
Yes, not so much the Luftwaffe in Leicester. I think the town obviously goes right back to the 1st century BC, so it's got a Roman past as well as a medieval past. And a lot of the sort of timber frame buildings that were still around in the 19th century gave way to new brick buildings as the town developed as an industrial centre, and it became very well known for hosiery and boot and shoe manufacturing, casting, foundries, all that sort of thing. So there's a real sort of boom time in the mid-19th century when it expanded massively. And I think that's when a lot of the medieval town, and to an extent some of the Roman buildings that might have survived, also disappeared. But most of them without any record at all. So it's very unusual to actually have such a detailed drawing with all of these annotated measurements that survives. I mean, even buildings that went in the sort of 50s weren't recorded as well as this.
Well, what a great discovery. Let us know when it goes on display there in Leicester Museum. We'll be right up to see it. Richard Buckley, thank you very much indeed.